Hi, my name is Jenna Hoffstein, and I'm with Little Worlds Interactive.
Okay, and what is Little Worlds Interactive?
Little Worlds Interactive is an educational game company. We're here today to talk about our first game. It's called The Counting Kingdom, and we're hoping to release it in early 2014, but we wanted to give a little sneak peek today.
Okay, so what is the Counting Kingdom?
So The Counting Kingdom is a game in which you are a wizard's apprentice, and you are trying to defend the kingdom from incoming hordes of monsters. So it's very much meant to feel like an adventure. It's an educational game, but I have a healthy respect for kids and their play, and I wanted to create something that felt epic and fun and engaging. So it focuses on addition. It has a little bit of subtraction and multiplication as well, but that's basically the premise. You are a wizard, and you're defending the kingdom using your math skills.
So why did you guys choose Boston Fig to debut your game?
So I develop in Boston, so this is very much my home. I've been a part of the indie community here for a couple of years, and it's just been amazing. I have gotten so much out of living here and working here, and everybody involved in this community has been so incredibly helpful. And that's really why I am where I am today, is because of this community. So being here was absolutely a no-brainer.
So why should people who aren't part of the Boston Indies community care about Boston Fig?
So Boston is an amazing hub of talent. We have so many AAA studios, but we also have a really thriving indie community. And there are just so many things coming out of this group that you're not going to get anywhere else. So yeah, it's the place to be.
Why did you choose to make an educational game?
So one of the reasons that I became an indie developer is it was really important to me to make meaningful games, games that have an impact somehow on people's lives. So educational games was kind of a natural route to take, coming out of that desire. And when I looked at the App Store, I really wasn't wildly impressed with some of the games on it. If you look at the games for younger kids, there's some really quality titles. But once you get a little bit older, in the 6, 8, 10 range, the quality drops off a little bit across the board. So I'm hoping to really fill that gap to create games that are engaging and fun, but still educational, straddling those two worlds.
Awesome. What are some good educational games that you can think of off the top of your head that you can give to parents?
So I grew up with games like Oregon Trail, and you may not think that that's an educational game, but it completely is. Everybody in my generation knows way more about traveling west in a caravan than we really should, than it makes even sense to. So that's really the type of game that I grew up with and that I loved, and I'm pulling elements of that where the educational content is there, but it's not a glorified quiz. The educational content is in service of a strategy and an adventure, something really fun. So that's kind of the one game that I always reference. Right now, if you look at all the Toca Boca games on iOS, they're amazing. I sit on the subway and I play them. They're made for like 4-year-olds, and I'm sitting there playing these really adorable games. So I would definitely recommend those. There are definitely a number of fun games out there.
Okay. Why do you think educational games that are made for older than like 6 to 8 years old, why do they struggle so much?
That's a really good question. I think at that age, kids are expanding into a broader world. If you look at a lot of the books that come out and are really popular for this age group, it's a lot of fantasy, it's a lot of adventure, it's a lot of kind of sneaking out of the house and doing your own thing. And so I think these kids are knocking on the door of something bigger. They're trying to explore the world. And getting that feeling into a game is a little bit more difficult. Honestly, you need to develop deeper systems. And not that it is not hard to develop a game for a 4 or 6-year-old. There's certainly a whole host of other struggles there. But it's kind of a little bit of a different mindset when you get to the older group.
Why do you think educational games have such a bad rap?
So if you're playing a normal game, the goal generally, a normal game, if you're playing a non-educational game, the goal typically is entertainment. And if you fail in that goal, then you put the game down. It's not really a big deal. You've wasted maybe 99 cents. Educational games aspire to something greater. And so I think it's even more of a letdown when you promise something educational and quality and you can't deliver on that promise. So I think that's one of the reasons they get a bad rep. I think for a lot of game developers, unfortunately, they're not seen as something quite as exciting to work on. A lot of game developers want to work on, Gears of War, first-person shooters, a lot of more traditional hardcore games. And so you have a much smaller group of developers who are really interested in educational games. So I think with those two things combined, any genre, you're going to have a lot of games that are just not good. That's kind of the nature of game designs. You get the whole spectrum. But hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll see a lot of additional really quality content educational titles.
Awesome. So speaking of the next couple of years, where do you see educational games going?
So there are some really interesting things coming out where one of the problems right now with educational games is discoverability. So you have all of these teachers that are really hungry to find these games and that, are familiar with iPods and want to use that content in the classroom. But they have to do so much research to find the top-notch games, often spending their own money to do that. So there's a company that, I don't remember the name, but I believe Bill Gates just poured a ton of money into it, and they're basically trying to create this discoverability portal where teachers can go in, rank different games, leave notes on them, and so you're creating this community of teachers where they can recommend these games to each other. So I'm hoping that really, really takes off, which will create pressure to create higher quality games, because now all of a sudden they're kind of all competing against each other in yet another arena. So I'm hoping that the next couple of years sees an influx of higher quality games and also much easier avenues for parents and teachers to find really high quality games. So check out our website. It's littleworldsinteractive.com. We have a mailing list, brand new, so we'll be sending out updates on that. And we're also on Twitter, littleworldsint.